Mito podcast. I'm Ashley,
And I'm Megan.
and today we have a special guest with us. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Hannah. I'm 19 years old and I'm from Indiana.
And you're going to college right now, right, Hannah?
Yes. My major is bio, and I'm hoping to go to school for genetic counseling.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that you were inspired to go down this road because of your Mito journey.
Yeah. Somewhat not. I've always just kind of liked science and kind of been interested, so kind of
Awesome.
both.
Well, how did your Mito journey begin? Like, what's the starting point for you?
So, mostly it started when I was little, tiny. I was having a lot of stomach issues, and I was having hypotonia, and that's kind of where it all started. And then as I got older, I started having a lot of seizures, and those seizures weakened the right side of my body a lot. And so, paired with that and the stomach issues and some other like neuro stuff, we went to Cleveland Clinic, and I was uh, tested for Mito. Well, tested.
So what did they do to test you for Mito? Do you remember what kind of what test they did?
Yeah, so because I was diagnosed back in like 2005-ish. So, well, it actually be more like 2006 or 2007. I was in kindergarten, I think. So there wasn't really like genetic testing. And since I was so young, they didn't really want to put me through a muscle biopsy. So I was just clinically diagnosed.
Okay. And since then, have you had any additional diagnosis or any additional testing done, or has it? Sorry, that was my dog. He has a cone around his head right now, and it's really loud.
No.
So have they? I'm sorry. Have they done any more testing, or have you just stuck to the clinical diagnosis?
Pretty much just the clinical diagnosis. As I got older, things started to get a little bit worse. I started to have more stomach issues, and I started developing a lot of dysautonomia symptoms. So like I was diagnosed with POTS and some other kind of diagnoses, but I'm not going to get tested right now. Maybe more in the future. Um, but for right now, I'm just kind of happy where I am. I don't feel like I need to know anything specific. I'm just kind of going with the flow.
Okay. Did they give you an idea of what type of mito diagnosis, or did they just say something like a mito dysfunction, or did they give you anything more specific?
Yeah, so well, back then too, there wasn't a lot of they didn't know as many types of mitochondrial disease as there are now from back then. Um, I'm saying back then like it was a long time ago. It's not a long time ago, but
No, but you know what though? I was just thinking it's so important that you are saying that, because science has gotten so much further in what I mean, yeah, it doesn't sound 2005. I mean, it doesn't sound like that long ago, but for us, for Mito people, a lot has happened in that last 15 years. Like a lot has happened. So I get how you're referring to it, because it doesn't seem like it, but we've definitely gone through a lot of discoveries, and a lot of like hundreds of mitochondrial diseases have been found in that 15 years. So both Megan and I understand.
Especially when it comes to
absolutely
genetic testing.
shocks me. Sorry, it absolutely shocks me that there's so many. Like there's hundreds, and like I get it because mitochondria has its own little DNA, but still, wow, absolutely shocks me.
Yeah, and then I think at this the last fact that I read was that there was over 350 different mitochondrial diseases right now.
Wow.
That means that there's 350 that have names. That doesn't mean that there aren't another 350 that we just haven't called anything yet. Okay, so what was that diagnosis? What did they say?
So they kind of narrowed it down to MELAS or maybe some type of MRF. So I think MELAS stands for mitochondrial encephalomyopathy, lactic acidosis, and stroke-like episodes.
Hmm.
And then,
For our listeners too, if you don't recognize that, it's also referred to as MELAS.
yeah. And then I don't remember exactly what MRF stands for. Something with red ragged fibers, but so yeah, they kind of narrowed it down to that. Especially because I was having such weakness in my right side from the seizures. They kind of thought that that would kind of be indicative of the stroke-like episodes.
Okay. Are you on medication now for your seizures?
No, those actually got a lot better as I got older. Those kind of stopped when I went on the Mito cocktail. So, but yeah, they pretty much stopped.
That's good.
Yeah.
I know it's kind of hard because every time I talk about the Mito cocktail, I always have to look back and figure out how to pronounce certain things. But can you share with us what is in your Mito cocktail?
Sure. So I won't give the doses, but I take L-carnitine. I take vitamin C. I take vitamin D, CoQ10, riboflavin, vitamin E. I think that's all for like the Mito stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just take iron supplements, which I mean,
Yeah.
half the world takes it.
No, it's good that you were able to tell us what is in that, because it seems to be with a lot of the people that we've been able to speak with that those are the main supplements that is in the cocktail. And it is obviously a little bit different for each person, especially with doses, and if you're a baby, if you're a toddler, if you're an adult. So it's actually really nice to hear that, because every once in a while, Megan and I will hear of something we've never heard of before. We're like, wait, what is that?
Right. Yeah.
And so as an adult, because I know, so we've been trying to get this podcast put together for a couple of weeks, but you were in the middle of finals, which is really exciting. Do you know how you did?
Yeah, I haven't gotten one test back, but I got a 95% on my organic chemistry test today, which I am very excited about. I was stressing out about that like crazy.
I was a bio major too. That's what my degree is.
Yeah.
That was one of the hardest classes.
I know, it's terrifying. And then the rest of them I got either B's or A's, so
good job.
it's done with though. Yeah, I'm so happy it's done with.
So the reason I brought that up was because it was finals week, and so we kept postponing, so we wanted to make sure that you had enough time to study for your finals and
yes, thank you for doing that.
So with finals, and I'm sure you're probably so happy, like the stress is so much lower, but what does that mean for you as an adult, a young adult, to have Mito and also going to college and going through these finals? What is Mito? What is your everyday Mito like?
Right. So being in college is a little bit stressful. You have to really learn to listen to your body. From being diagnosed at such a young age, I've kind of learned to recognize the signs and the signals that my body just kind of needs in order to remain stable and steady. I always say push steady, not push through. So that's helpful. And I mainly deal with a lot of fatigue right now and stomach issues and some other like dysautonomic stuff. But all of that just kind of tells me that I need to really listen to my body and slow down or stay steady. I have a lot of accommodations for academic stuff, which is really helpful. I get extra time on assignments, and if I need to miss a class, it's excused. Um, and I have my own room, like a single room. So that's nice because if I need to sleep or take a nap, then I can, and I don't bug anyone or I don't like disrupt anyone. No one disrupts me. So that's really nice.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's amazing that I know colleges do accommodations as well, but that's really helpful for people who
It is.
have any sort of disability to be able to have certain accommodations that follow you from all your schooling and your IEPs and all of that to actually into college. So that's helpful to know.
Yeah, and thankfully my college is really good at it. They're really accommodating, and the disability services is really really kind and really helpful, and it's just been a really good experience.
That's awesome. That's really good to hear.
Yeah.
Is there, let me see what other notes I had written down. Is there anything that you wanted to tell other people that are just starting their Mito journey, whether it be parents or people around your age or even older than you?
So I guess the main things that I would say is just advocate for yourself, because not a lot of doctors know what mitochondrial disease is. And you know what? That's okay, because they learn a certain skill set, and I mean, they can build on that skill set, but they're not going to know everything. So that's okay. You just kind of had to educate and advocate for yourself and say, this is what I need, which sometimes goes okay, sometimes it doesn't. But and also definitely learning to listen to your body, recognizing those signs in your body and those signals in your body is really helpful. And also understanding that it is hard, but as long as you well, I guess a lot of opportunities are going to rise, and they're going to be depleted, I guess is the right word, but not necessarily depleted, but a lot of opportunities are going to be more of a struggle than others because of that. But you're also going to have new opportunities. So like for me, I recognize that I may not be able to do certain things that other people might be able to on a daily basis, but I also know that since I do want to be in genetic counseling, I know that I'm going to have the opportunity to connect to people on a different level, and the ability to understand what people are going through. And yeah, it's kind of just a
Well, I like the message that you brought up earlier, the push study instead of pushing through. I think that's really important because it goes along with what you were saying about understanding your body and knowing what keeps your energy source, so that you can be able to do as much as you possibly can. If you just push through, then the next day you might not have that energy to keep going, to do the things that you want to do. So I think that was a great message. And also just advocating for yourself in this, and for your children, or whoever it is you're advocating for, is it does suck to have to be the doctor. I mean, you have so much research that you have to do, but you're doing it for an important cause. And like you said, you have to educate doctors, which is not something that we're used to. We go to the doctor thinking they're going to have all of the answers, and they're just human, right?
Right, definitely.
They're just like us. Just because they went to school a little bit longer and spent a little bit more on their degree doesn't mean they have all the answers.
Yeah.
So we do have to give them a break. And obviously that goes with how you're treated as a person, not necessarily for your diagnosis, but as a person. And you want to go to the doctors that will listen to you and are open to getting more education, and you want to inspire them to want to advocate for you too. So I think that was all very, very important and a good message to bring to other people, especially the advocate. Because like when when everything started with Angie, my daughter, that was one of the hardest things. You don't know where the line is. You don't want to cross it, but at the same time, you have to. And it's uncomfortable, but at the end of the day, you are who is important. And who else is going to speak up for yourself other than you?
Right. And speaking up also like kind of speaks up for other individuals too, you know?
Yes.
So like if another person is going through the same kind of process of diagnosis and it's kind of in their mind, you know, maybe it's this or maybe it's not that, maybe it's mitochondrial disease, you know, so that helps too.
And I think too, it's pretty amazing. I mean, just the fact that you're going to college, you're going to a school where you're not only helping the disability office to understand what Mito is, but all of your teachers, and all your teachers are going to teach so many more students. And now that they've had the experience of meeting you and being able to understand what Mito is through you, that's gonna impact a lot of people.
Yeah.
I mean, there's gonna be such a huge ripple with you just being in someone's class, and I think that that's beautiful. It's amazing,
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
especially if you want to be a biology major.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I was thankful to be diagnosed with mitochondrial disease very mildly. So I'm really glad I get to have the opportunity to do these things.
Yeah, I think that's great, especially in that one day in class when they get to talk about mitochondria. You can just be
Yeah.
like, I have a lot to say about that.
Yeah.
Is that teacher, can you sit down? You can take the day off. I got this covered.
Definitely. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yeah, that's like my students. I was a middle school teacher for 15 years and I taught life science. And every time we came to mitochondria, I was like, the poor kids. They knew how to spell it, they knew what it did, they knew the disease, they knew everything by the time they walked out of my class. And it's funny because one of our other moms who we do a lot with, she teaches high school, and my kids would go to and be in her Spanish class. Oh, I had Miss Carter, I know all about mitochondrial disease, because her two daughters have it as well. And so it's just, it's one of those things where when it's near and dear to your heart, and you just automatically start spreading awareness. And I think also too what you said about being a genetic counselor and being able to connect on a whole different level with patients, it is very true, because we are fortunate in San Diego to have some amazing doctors here, geneticists, genetic counselors. Dr. Haas, who is one of the top mitochondrial specialists. And you know when you get in that situation and you are able to speak to somebody that has gone through the same journey, or even if it's not mitochondrial disease but has a genetic diagnosis for something, it just like you said, you just connect on another level, and that will put a lot of your parents and your patients at ease to know that you have all this experience yourself with being diagnosed. So that's going to be really special for your patients.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And it's also really fun being in college and talking to these professors, these like biology professors that have done research, so much research on these things. And once you tell them, they're like, oh my gosh, I want to know everything about you. And I'm like, oh boy.
Now, you also, I wanted to put a little plug in for your guys' Instagram, and also you also do a podcast, correct?
No, we don't do a podcast. No.
Oh, I thought you guys did. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. We just kind of raise awareness for other diseases. I'm the one with mitochondrial disease, obviously. And there are 1, 2, 3, 4 other girls that help run the page. And our kind of mission is to bring awareness to all kinds of diseases and share people's stories and just kind of let people know that we are here as a connection.
Now, so that our listeners know where to look for it, what is your Instagram page called?
So it's called Young People Chronic Illnesses. It's young people _ chronic illnesses. So it's pretty easy to find. It's long, but it's pretty easy to find. Yeah.
Awesome.
That's really great that you're doing that as well, because I know for Ashley and I, we both have children that have mitochondrial disease, and that's our goal, is to help families, to spread awareness, to really help people out there that, have gone through our experiences or getting ready to go through. And for you to be helping young people who, are diagnosed with rare diseases, all these little things that you put out there are just, it's really helping people. And that's why we do our podcast. So that's great that you guys are doing an Instagram page.
Yeah, and it's really cool too because you get to connect with so many people, like even people without mitochondrial disease. I mean, there's a big Instagram community, but really, it's just a really great outlet to get to know people that have the same struggles you do, and to just kind of learn and educate and be there for one another.
Great. That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for being on our podcast today. We really appreciate you taking time out of your day to speak with us.
Yeah, thank you for having me. This was nice.
Absolutely.
Yes, and good luck on your journey to becoming a genetic counselor.
Thank you. Hopefully. I have a couple more years. I'm only a sophomore, but hopefully.
You'll get there.
You will. Thank you again, and thank you to our listeners for joining us on the Mito podcast. You can find us on Facebook. You can find us on Instagram. You can also email us at mitopodcast@gmail.com. And you can also find us on YouTube. We are on there now. Most of our episodes are audio only, but we do have a couple that have video on there. So go ahead and go to YouTube and take a listen, or you can just go to Mito Podcast